Hello there, and thanks again for tuning in to crisiscompetence.com with me, Ulf Lidman. We are talking about the corona crisis and what we can do to help each other to deal with this collective crisis that we are in. I am being swamped these days with emails from people that are in lockdown, people that are affected by this crisis. And one of the things that I hear a lot that I want to address today is the whole issue of triggers. It is very common. In fact, it is completely normal and expected that a situation like the one that we are in will trigger other areas in your life. Maybe areas that you need to deal with, but you haven't dealt with them before. It is not unusual in a situation like the one that we are in that issues that are already going on in a family will surface. Unfortunately, I have had reports of situations where domestic violence is actually happening right now because of the pressures, because of the stress factors involved. If there already is tension in a relationship, if there is already tendencies for things of conflict and even of abuse, it is to be expected that this will escalate the situation. And so it's so important to know what you should expect. You should expect that things that are not resolved in your life will actually come to the surface. I am saying this about relationship issues, but I'm also saying this about other things. You might have another crisis in your life that you haven't dealt with, and now all of a sudden, all of that is coming to the surface as well. So, what do we do with these things? And I am a firm believer in that when we are in lockdown or when we are in a crisis like we are right now, this is not the time and the place to deal with other issues. This is not the time to deal with that you have bad relationships with family members or that you are dealing with other unresolved areas in your life that you've been pushing down and now they're all coming to the surface. Now is not the time to deal with that. It's a time, there is a time and there is a place for everything. So what do we do? No, we do not go into denial and say these issues are not there. But what we do is that we use that part of our brain that is actually there where we choose to compartmentalize and say, okay, I see that these things are surfacing right now, but now is not the time to deal with it. I will deal with that when this crisis is over. In other words, if there are relationships issues that are going on in your household as a result of this, if there are more conflicts than you can handle, give each other space, but don't try to solve things because the stress factors that you already have as a result of the corona crisis are making it very difficult to see clearly. But it's not uncommon that a crisis that we are in will actually bring to surface things that you need to deal with later. And that is what's important. It's not to go into denial and pretend that they're not there, but it is important to not overwhelm yourself with issues at this time when you're already in a lot of stress. So, what am I saying? I am saying this is the time to try to harbor things that come up. We are not here to solve problems or solve issues or work on relationships in the middle of this acute crisis. That is for later. Now we focus on being and not doing. Now we focus on harboring what we need to deal with later. Please do not escalate the crisis by trying to be some kind of a superhuman that is trying to solve things at this point. Put it on your bucket list for things that you need to deal with when the lockdown is over. Please be kind to yourself, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.